stair climb or with your partner in climb. Enjoy a post-workout recovery session in the hydro massage and do it all again with access to any of our 2,700 plus convenient locations. So, you coming? Get all the perks with a PF Black Card for $1 down and $24.99 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends Friday, December 5th. See Club for details.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Winter is just around the corner. Is your vehicle ready? Don't get left out in the cold. At A1 Automotive, we prep your car for whatever winter. Battery check, brake inspection, tires, heaters, whatever your car needs to keep you and your family safe on the road, we've got you covered. A1 Automotive, always.
The savings continue all November long at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln. They're extending their red tag sale with machines priced at invoice plus $300. That's it. No freight, no setup, no extra fees. Plus 10% off snowplow kits, 10% off fly motocross gear, and 50% off all in-stock road tires. Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered all under one roof with a large selection of side-by-sides, ATVs, motorcycles, and personal watercraft at their 27th and I-80 location. They can't wait to get you set up for the holiday season.
This Black Friday, it is time to hit your goals before the new year even starts. At Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping, get 40% off our next 10-week challenge, plus 6 weeks for free to kickstart your fitness journey. Start training December 1st with kickboxing, strength training, and personalized nutrition. So when our official challenge begins January 10th, you're already ahead of the game. Spots are limited. Don't wait for January to make your resolution. Start strong now. Visit fxbeatlincoln.com or stop by one of our 2 locations at South 40th and Yankee Hill or North 70th and Vine. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping. Stronger starts here.
MWR is dedicated to building attractive, affordable steel buildings that exceed your expectations. From commercial to residential to agriculture storage, steel buildings are cost-effective, attractive, and versatile. Plus, they're a lasting investment and an ideal choice. MWR uses Sentinel Building Systems out of Albion and can service you all over the state and region. If you have interest in a steel building, post-frame building, or fencing, give MWR a call today at 402-980-5273 or go to mwrbuildingandfence.com.
Hi, Charlie Stone here, and it's that time of the year again. Time for the annual Happy Honda Days at Honda of Lincoln. With me on the line, Andy Goodyear, to tell us all about it.
The exciting news is we have more selection and more savings. We have over 400 new 2025 and 2026 Hondas to choose from, with a great opportunity to get year-end savings on every remaining new 2025.
Do you have some Happy Honda Days specials?
Sure do, Charlie. For example, you can lease a new 2025 Accord Sport Hybrid for just $349 a month, and we have financing from just 0% APR. We've also included over 125 pre-owned of all makes and models, and as always, our certified pre-owns are in this sale as well.
Well, maybe it's time you experience the best. The Honda of Lincoln way of doing business, 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
This holiday season, give the gift of good taste with a gift card from Valentino's. During double discount days, double your discount from $5 to $10 free with a $50 gift card purchase. Valentino's handcrafted pizza has been a family favorite for generations, and our gift cards make the perfect holiday gift. And right now, during gift card double discount days, when you buy $50 in gift cards, get a $10 gift card free. Happy holidays from Valentino's.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome in to Ticket Weeknights. This is the Husker Football Hour. We are joined, as always, with Tom Shatel of the Omaha World Herald on the Allo VIP line, where they understand the importance of exceptional service with a local heart. If you guys want to join in, plenty of things to talk about for Husker football land. 402-464-5685. Tom Shatel, how's it going on this cold Monday here in the capital city?
Pretty good. What's going on tonight?
Well, we got plenty of news. I think the first thing to start off with is the Iowa game. We'll certainly get to John Butler, but we haven't had an opportunity to get your perspective on that game versus Iowa. Obviously, Nebraska loses this one 40-16. The November record for Matt Rule takes another hit on it. Were you expecting, a game to where Iowa could even possibly blow Nebraska out of the water like that? I think people could anticipate a Husker loss. I think a lot of people were shocked by the way it looked.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I picked Iowa to win by 10, 24-14. And I don't know why I threw that number out there, but I expected Iowa's offense to just run all over Nebraska's defense. That offensive line is always too good, and we had a running quarterback. It was going to be a cold day. I just figured, but I thought Nebraska's offense might keep up a little bit. And when Emma Johnson turned the corner and went the distance, or I thought he went the distance. I thought he did score, but in any case, I thought, game on here. And but then you hear that TJ Lateef had a hamstring injury early. That certainly affected him. But yeah, I just thought the way it went down, it almost seemed too easy. The Iowa and Nebraska games are never easy. So yeah, it just, and the way the fans left, I have to believe that the cold weather was part of that. Certainly they are, because there have been reasons to be fed up, a long time before this. And I've rarely seen it like that. In fact, maybe there was an Ohio State game when Urban Meyer was, and those guys were scoring at will, maybe toward the end of the Mike Riley regime. And certainly what I kept thinking about was the 2003 K-State game where the stadium was empty. I'd never seen it like that before in the fourth quarter, except for this giant splash of the color purple. And, you hear the Wabash Cannonball echoing through the stadium. That was very shocking. So, it didn't look good. And I was good, but not great. Nebraska certainly isn't there yet. I'll tell you what, the news today just sort of, it just sort of symbolized where Nebraska is, and it was in that game, and kind of was all season, and where they are right now at the end of the year of Matt Rule's third year.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to the Cincinnati game, especially with the quarterback run. It felt like an area that Nebraska was going to have to really work on if they want to get better. And then we get all the way to the Iowa game, and the problem was more glaring than ever. You got a young group of guys on defense, especially on the front. Obviously got a lot more veteran leadership in that secondary. But again, I just think that's where Husker fans were the most disappointed. You go from a blowout to Penn State, okay, not feeling great, a chance versus Iowa, a rival, and you get blown out again. and the same problems persisted what felt like all year long. And even sometimes, I'll come to Butler's defense a little bit. There were situations in that Iowa game where Nebraska had some one-on-one matchups where the defensive call felt right, and we just weren't able to execute, and led to what should have been a tackle for loss to where there goes Gronowski running down the sideline for another 10, 15 yards at times.
Yeah.
I mean, how much do you, is it like really coaching? Is it inexperience? Do you got any kind of beat on, where do you think the main problems are really lying?
Well, Nebraska doesn't have enough talent, and they don't have enough talent, especially on the offensive line or on defense. They had two NFL players on the line last year on defense. They don't have that yet. Right? Maybe those guys are going to get there. But so I think that they really don't have a lot of so-called dudes on defense. And it always seemed like the better players are in the secondary. Well, this is not a secondary league. It's a line of scrimmage league. And, certainly Nebraska had that last year, but they were young up front. Boy, it sure seemed like the same mistakes were made all the time. They got sealed off on the edge time and again, and guys would run around and go for the big chunks of yards. And it didn't help John Butler's cause, and I certainly think he's a guy that's been around football his whole career, a long career. He knows football very well. But no one had being able to get a defense to play and execute are really two different things. And, to me, defense isn't scheme. People are worried about the 3-3-5 or whatever the hell. Scheme is not deep. Defense is players, size and players, speed, certainly, but it's players, and it's a motivation. It's chasing the ball and making tackles and making plays. I just think, I felt like every time something like the 1 week the Minnesota game, Butler's admitting, boy, I didn't react to that wrong. I should have done this. That's fine. But he spent the whole game doing that. He never adjusted. Then after Penn State, what did you see? Well, we got our ass kicked. Well, it's nice to say that, but it's a reflection on him too. So I just felt like he was always a step behind. Certainly there were games where they were good, but not nearly enough. Maryland scored a bunch of points on them, and they had to outscore Maryland.
USC was probably one of their best games.
Yeah,
honestly, and you still gave up a decent amount.
Yeah, I just felt like a year ago this was sort of an experiment. It was a gamble hire to me. If you remember this, he came out of nowhere. The summer of 2024. Evan Phillips left. It was sort of mysterious. The secondary coach left, and nobody knew. It was like I remember it was like the 4th of July. I was at somebody's house and watching fireworks, and I kept looking at my phone, going, "Well, I guess they got an opening for a secondary coach." And suddenly, John Butler just kind of fell out of nowhere. He was in between jobs. He just left the Bills. He'd been around the Texans and Bills, a lot of success, a lot of secondaries, success, playoffs, all that stuff. I thought, well, it's an interesting move. I mean, he can, if he can coach college kids, get them to play, and they had I think a decent year last year as a secondary. And so the players all loved him, but does that mean you make him the coordinator when he's only been a coordinator once in his career for 1 year? I feel like it's like kind of like hiring a McGuire, the receivers coach, right out of the gate. And Terry Braden, the defensive line coach out of the Chiefs, right? He's great, great resume, but hadn't really coached college at this level. And so I feel like Nebraska's not a starter job. It's is big boy football, and it's one thing to build, but you've got to also win. And so I feel like we're seeing maybe the transition from build to win, Rule. But I thought we saw it last year too. When he hires Holgerson and he hires Mike Eckler, showing urgency, showing it's time to win. Yet in the same time, he promoted John Butler, so it was almost like, well, on one hand, it's time to win, time to get serious. The other hand, he's taking this gamble. I don't know if it was because Matt is a defensive coach and he's got Phil Snow hanging around, and they felt like they could manage Butler or they could help him, but I don't know. If you look, I'm going off on a tangent here. Just stop me whenever you need to. But
no, you're good.
To me, the two biggest positions, the most important coaching positions at this level, are offensive line and a defensive coordinator. And for years, we had the great Tom Osborne, but Milt Tenopir and Charlie McBride were, and Charlie took enough crap from everybody, so he never got fired. They gave him better players, and he became this legend. But if you look at the list of offensive line coaches and defensive coordinators since those two guys, it's not a distinguished list. It's just not. I would say Barney Cotton was a very good offensive line coach, probably the best one since Milt. Rest of them, it's not a great list. And then the defensive coordinator, I say Bo Pelini in 2003 is the best coordinator since Charlie, and I put Tony White behind him. But again, you've had a list of other guys, and Bob Diaco was supposed to be the guy and wasn't. But there's a lot of, I just had not taken care of that a lot, and so it's a program that seems to be really into receivers and the big time quarterbacks and throwing the ball, but they're in the wrong league. That's the Big 12. They're trying to do, it doesn't work in this league. So anyway, I was not surprised that happened. I guess we were a little caught off guard it would happen today, but you've got signing date, you've got the portal next month, so here we go.
Yeah, it's interesting. I thought with Phil Snow there, and then you have Matt Rule as kind of the CEO coach with the coordinators he has in place. Because again, you get Holgerson as the offensive coordinator, but then you still get to keep just about everyone on staff who you're swapping out with the coordinator, whether it's special teams or the offensive coordinator. Defensive coordinator, you do lose Tony White. You bring in Phil Snow. Matt Rule's kind of got a CEO approach. Early on, I was like, maybe that's enough to kind of hold this thing together, given the inexperience that Butler had. Not as just a football IQ, but at that position of the college level. And it just felt like it never fully panned out. And, Snow played that interim role for now. But, you mentioned it with some of these hires we made. I think McGuire was one of the most obvious ones. It's like we're kind of the University of Nebraska. Nothing against the kid McGuire, but some of these hires will kind of shock you in terms of what are our expectations for a guy who hasn't really done this. And Braden, I get it, from the Chiefs. You got that Super Bowl caliber team. I think I was even a little too optimistic on it. I thought it'd be a great success. But then it also kind of goes back to the talent and execution. And do we have the talent in the room to put this together? We lost 2 NFL linemen on that front, like you said, and nothing in the water to replace it. And, we talk about the 3-3-5. If you just want to go off of that and throw in, 4-3 or something else that's traditional to the Big Ten, did all the players you recruit over these past few seasons fit that defense that you want to run? Because you can't just do an identity switch and get a new guy in there, you got to make sure the players you're recruiting are going to fit that mold as well. So they kind of got themselves in a little bit of situation with that defense where I don't know what they want it to look like. If they want to stick to that 3-3-5, which I imagine they will, I think it's more just getting some better players in there and finding the right coach to do it. But I was just kind of blown away that throughout the course of the season, I mean, it never felt like it got a little bit better. On the flip side, though, with Donovan Raiola, I do got to admit, I thought the rushing game, our run blocking, it actually got better as the season went on. Maybe TJ Lateef being a dual threat quarterback kind of helped that out, being a little bit more unpredictable. But I honestly thought offensively on the offensive line and the run block in particular, that was one area where we got better. And I'm not going to tell you, do you want Donovan Raiola here or not? But what is your assessment of Raiola on the offensive line this year?
Well, it is a mixed bag. Yes, there were times when it was better. I don't know if what's the philosophy of that offense, and does he fit that? And in terms of philosophy, it's very simple. It should, in this league, and where Nebraska is, it should be run the ball and stop the run on both sides of the ball, and own the line of scrimmage. It should all start there, and yet it never seems to. They've had injuries on the up. They've had that, but I don't know that the talent level has been great there. And I just, it's something. I don't know if it's probably not a reflection on Raiola, but when you continue to call the same plays, they get the quarterback sacked 9 times or 7 times. That's not all. I mean, it's a reflection of the line, but sometimes it's a game management, and I just don't know what are they trying to be. And sometimes sometimes they're trying to be Emma Johnson and going forward. Other times they're trying to be the pocket passer, and I don't know if they feel like they have to do that because they've got this incredible passer or quarterback, but the offensive line isn't helping them, and they're not helping anybody when you're going back to pass that many times. And it's not. Yeah, I understand it's on Dylan to get rid of it. It's on somebody to make a block, either wide or one of the running backs. But they were just getting just run over on a lot of, and just weren't good enough. I guess Michigan just not good enough. Just the mentality, and I got to think part of that is the offensive line coach. So I don't know, if going forward with Donovan Raiola is the move, so be it. But get a plan. I don't feel like there's an offensive line plan or the meshes with what they want to do offensively. I just and they had very good moments, but they had other moments too on offense. So I don't know. I just feel like going into this 4th year, I don't know what the offensive line is. That's a position where you can't rely on the portal too often. You don't want to do that. Offensive line is about continuity and the chemistry of the whole unit, and guys who know each other and know where each one's going to go. And it's hard to bring new guys into there every year doing that. It's just, so I don't know what that's going to look like next year. I know they've got some talented guys coming up, but I feel like it's another building year for that line. And when is it going to be ready? It's a great question. And do they need a new leader in there? It just doesn't feel like it's a huge priority to me. It feels like it's what is the mentality of the offense? Were you attacking? Are you trying to, own the line, or what? Are you trying to, run a two-man offense? Holgerson has shown both, and I think he can be a run guy, and he has shown that. But they still have the offensive line yet for that. It's been better, but it was better when they played UCLA, but it wasn't better when they played Penn State and Iowa. I mean, at times it was, but they weren't ready for that, and Latif wasn't ready for that, and God love him, he shouldn't have been ready for it. He just got thrown in there. And I think any evaluation of this season has to include the fact that they lost their quarterback with 3.5 games to go. And we'll never know, but that has to be part of any fan's evaluation of this thing. So, but in terms of the defense, I just feel like there were 3 games that are totally unacceptable. Minnesota, Penn State, and Iowa. The last 2, the way they happened. Minnesota, as we saw, as the season showed, they aren't very good, and that's a game Nebraska could have, should have won, or at least certainly played better, but a lot closer. And the defense just kind of let things let things get away, and same thing against Penn State and Iowa. I just weren't up to it. So I feel like the program's in a place where it's going to beat Michigan State, going to beat Maryland, going to beat Northwestern, but not ready for the other guys yet. And although I got to tell you, that USC game, I think a lot of us agree that Dylan hadn't gotten hurt, that they were on their way to getting the upset. So, but that's the way that goes. Can't bring it back, but so it's an interesting time to be a Husker fan. I wrote about that Sunday, and I think you need to take stock of the good things. Going to a bowl, that was progress 2 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
But it just feels like I don't know where things are. I don't know where things are going into year 4.
Well, that's just it. I think, I know DP says it all the time, but I think it's a true statement. The sign of a good and healthy program is that you don't have a ton of questions. And I'm not saying that, the world's falling, but we ended up in the season with way more questions than we would have wanted. And I think this is where, despite 7-5, despite going bowling in back-to-back years, something that has been done in, way too long to be considered one of the blue blood programs, you end up in a weird spot where you finish the regular season. We still got the bowl game, of course, and you're kind of loaded up with questions. Out of the last 2 games, you probably got more questions out of the games that you have in the entire season. So it's a weird spot. We'll keep talking about. We'll get to the YouTube and text line as well. We got plenty of questions flowing in here. So don't go anywhere. We will go ahead throughout the break. We got Tom Shatel on the Allo VIP line. Harrison Arns on the 1s and 2s. Don't go anywhere. We'll keep it rolling on the other side.
Hey guys, it's Carly from Boyd Farm Outfitters. Farmers, you need to know about Green Eye Spot Spray. With Green Eye, we replace your existing spray boom with a brand new aluminum boom equipped with camera technology that identifies and sprays only weeds and not your crop. The boom comes with 2 spray lines so you can still broadcast residual herbicide while you're spot spraying weeds that are up. Green Eye users in Nebraska are saving a ton of money on herbicides, but that's just the beginning. Learn more at BoydFarmOutfitters.com. That's BOECK FarmOutfitters.com.
If you want to make new floor shopping easier, come to O Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carper. Our flooring professionals can help you choose the best flooring for you, your family, and your budget. We eliminate the confusion. Even better, you'll be enjoying your new flooring much sooner. No 6 or 8 week waits. We'll install right away and save you money on installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at O Street Carpet. O Street Carpet. 1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion for happier, healthier, furry friends.
I'm Karen Carr. I've been a realtor for 31 years. When I made a company change 12 years ago, I chose Lincoln First Realty, now NP Dodge. It's the oldest independently owned realty company in the country. Since becoming NP Dodge, we've continued our tradition of community involvement. Our management and staff are always available to offer support in marketing, technology, social media, and educational opportunities.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
It's the holiday season. Time for work parties, friend get-togethers, and family gatherings, which means lots of eating. Maybe you think you've perfected your holiday meals, and maybe you have no idea where to even start. Let's fix that right now. No holiday party is complete without Führer's cheese spread. It goes well with any type of cracker, pretzels, apples, chili, vegetable, chips, and of course, it's perfect to pair with wine or beer. Holiday meals aren't complete until Führer's cheese spread is on the table. Find your own container at your nearest local grocery store today.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription, or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Midwest Bank is hosting our annual Thanksgiving food drive, partnering with local Lincoln schools to provide Thanksgiving dinners to families in need. We hope to provide meals for more than 120 families in our community this year. You can help by dropping off a donation at either Midwest Bank location, 7001 Pioneers Boulevard or 2655 Jamie Lane. Any donation is greatly appreciated. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank, member FDIC.
Fall is officially here, and Brown's Shoe Fit has just the right style and comfort your feet deserve. Stop in to see a wide selection of all your favorite brands, including Brooks, Hoka, Echo, Keen, and many more. At Brown's Shoe Fit, they take the time to measure your feet to ensure proper fit. They also have the largest selection of Uggs and Hokas in Lincoln. Brown's Shoe Fit at 66th and Q.
Back to the Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. This is the Husker Football Hour. Harrison Arns on the ones and twos. Again, we got Tom Shatel on the Outlaw VIP line. You guys are welcome to join in. 402-464-5685, or you can also join in off of YouTube as well. I want to get to this one. I think it's a good point. If you were to come to the defense of Donovan Rail, the offensive line coach for Nebraska, and it's true with any program, consistency is a must if you want to be consistently good or have some sort of identity. And the one point for Donovan Raiola, despite him being the one holdover, you can say he's been there the longest. He should have his guys ready. That should be a unit. He's also had to work with Scott Frost, Whipple, Mickey Joseph, Satterfield, Dana Holgerson. I mean, he's also got a revolving door of offensive coordinators kind of pointing which way they want their offense to be. And it would just end up in this area to where I could not tell you what Nebraska's identity is. Right. And it's not all on Donovan Raiola. It's not all on one coach, but it's been, to me, what happens when you just have a constant circle of coaches, coordinators, position coaches in and out the door. I mean, could you say this team has an identity? And if so, what would it be?
Well, yeah, I think couple identities. I mean, is it overall identity of the program? Are you about hard work? Are you about doing the little things right? Are you about execution and owning the trenches? Being physical. There's the identity of what are you doing on offense? Who are you? And yeah, that's a good point. He certainly has been an offensive line coach for a lot of different styles. And Whipple was certainly not like Frost. And then you bring Satterfield in, and I just, it's now Holgerson is, brilliant, but I just don't feel like I know what they're trying to do. And I've seen Holgerson try to do both. I guess he couldn't find a defensive lineman this year to line up at the fullback at red zone. I love that last year. Ty Robinson was it was like the Nebraska, the tush push for Nebraska.
Well, he just made it look so easy. Yeah, that was the beauty of it. It just, when you have a guy like that, it's like, well, why can't we just do this every year? Well, you don't, get your NFL juggernauts like that every so often.
Yeah, I think the way the line has performed this year, I think you make a good point. It's like they do better going forward. Of course, they do better when it's UCLA and not Penn State also. But
then Iowa, I mean, like 180 yards on the ground before the first half. We outrush Iowa. It's the biggest blowout we've had in years. It's unbelievable. Just trying to wrap my head around it. That's where I get lost. It's like, despite doing one of the better days on the ground, you end up having one of your worst performances.
Yeah, I think it was, Latif is trying to figure it out, and with the hamstring issue, that's a lot harder to do.
Yeah.
So I kept thinking, when is he going to run more? Same with the Penn State game. I kept expecting some kind of wrinkle where they would do that, and Rula's, I don't know how many, when he got here, he said he wanted to do the 49ers offense. He wanted to have these, McCaffrey type guys, guys who didn't necessarily have one position. They kind of fit everywhere. And I felt like that was going to be Harburg, that was going to be Carter Nelson. And they really haven't been, there's been one tight end. And he's really good, but I don't know where those other guys fit on the field. I don't feel like we saw as much out of Harburg as we could have. Maybe because we just didn't know where to put him. But yeah, I felt like we saw Dana run, and we saw him continue to put Raiola back there in the pocket when there was. He was just getting hammered. I mean, he put him at risk almost, just continuously, dropping back to pass. And it just felt like the biggest crime in Minnesota when Emmett Johnson was from Minneapolis, and they didn't. And I gave him the ball 13 times. That would have been the perfect night to give him 30 times. Yeah, I don't know what it is, and I think they got to figure it out. And they got to figure out if Donovan's the right guy or not. And he might be, but I don't know. We just haven't seen that offensive line. Again, a couple of injuries, yes, but just it just feel like your guys running in and out of there. And have not been dominant. They've held their own at times, but right now the program as a whole, and I think the line reflects this, and maybe the defense too, just good enough to win 7, good enough to beat Michigan State and Maryland. And by the way, they had to come from behind in the fourth quarter to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Those were those games were up for grabs going into the fourth quarter.
Or even Maryland, I think we had to come back in that one.
We had
they
were down to at least 10, weren't they?
Yeah, that was the story though. It was like all these teams. It was Nebraska gets the lead, give up the lead, come back in the fourth quarter to pull it off. You know, you don't want to apologize for wins, but man, I mean, if the season ends 6 wins, who knows how we all feel?
Well, this is just not helping. It's not helping that he had to admit a mistake in John Butler after 1 year. It's not helping to have another coordinator third in 3 years. You need continuity. He needs a staff that has been together, an identity, a system, and now we might have a quarterback change. I mean, but that's life in the portal. That happens everywhere now. But it makes building and makes finding some kind of continuity a lot harder to get. But I feel like there were improvements, the special teams especially. Now they weren't. I don't think they were necessarily out of this world special teams. They were what you want. That's what you should expect is what they did this year. It should be that way all the time. So, I mean, it was really good, but it should be like that all. I mean, that's what they did this year is what you want to do. I know not everybody does it, but I thought that was really good. I thought there were players who Emmett Johnson certainly was a guy who really transformed himself. And going into the season, that he's good, but how he became like one of the all-time Huskers by the end. So I just the fourth quarter comebacks were good. They found ways to win instead of finding ways to lose. But it's just the embarrassing games. I mean, Matt Rule was hired to do away with those, and we're not doing those anymore. We're tired of being embarrassed, and you're tired of these games where it's over in the second half, and you want to turn the TV off. We had not one or two, we had 3 of them, and the last one where it emptied the stadium. I feel like we're on the verge of. I don't think it's totally built yet. It's certainly not, but they got to get more talent in there. But I feel like we're transitioning to the phase where it's time to win. I think today showed that.
Yeah, the thing that scares me the most. I don't think if it's even possible for it to set in. But that was the most apathetic I've heard Husker fans after like a day removed from the Iowa game. And I'm not, we're talking about bowl games already, and you got a lot of people already kind of saying like it doesn't really matter if we can make it to a bowl game. We're going to be the same old Nebraska. But there's also part where Matt Rule is right, and I know he kind of talked about it in his press conferences, to where we can't all be college football snobs to a degree. When we went through some of the worst years of Husker football, when Matt Rule got here, I think it's fair to say it was a bit of a dumpster fire. And, despite this year's schedule, and maybe you thinking you could have gotten more, we are going back to back bowl games. And unfortunately, because of the blowout in the last 2 games is why I think you saw a little bit of apathy from some fans, certainly not all, about where we even play or who we play and if it matters. But Matt Rule does have some point to say that it was bad. It's been a long time before we even had an opportunity to go back-to-back bowl games. Can we continue to kind of trust just based off that? Even though you can say it was a weaker schedule, you did go ahead and you won 7 games. You won better than last season, regardless of how it all shook out. Next year will be a real test, and I think we'll find out a lot more. But 7-5 with the Minnesota embarrassment, Penn State embarrassment, Iowa embarrassment. You did get a weaker Michigan and Penn State than you probably would have expected. Now that the regular season's over, how do you kind of evaluate just Matt Rule and the direction of this program and how much faith that we're going in the right direction.
Yeah, I don't know what he said, but I said it on Sunday in my column, and I heard from a lot of people who agreed with me. I guarantee you, there's a whole hell of a lot of people who didn't agree with me. But this was a good season, and I don't want to hear about that this was a disaster. And I heard that Friday night. It was like, oh, it's a terrible year, very disappointing, total waste. 75 is just not good enough. It's like baloney. People act like they're supposed to be. They act like Nebraska's been on top of the world. I mean, have you paid attention in the last 10 years? These program couldn't win more than 3 or 4 conference games. Couldn't win more than 3 or 4 games total. Back-to-back bowl games. Hell yes, that's a big deal, and it needs to be treated as such. You got to respect winning. Before you can win at a big level, you've got to respect the things, the good things that you do. You have to respect the things that are going right, and you got to take a deep breath, and you got to feel good about it. If you're constantly breaking things down and being negative, and trust me, I've done that a lot over 34 years. But it just gets, man, it just wears you down. I mean, I really think sometimes this program needs to go 8-4, like 4 or 5 years in a row, and just enjoy it and just enjoy winning. We haven't won. When you do win, go with it, man. Smile, enjoy it. Yes, there are things to fix. Yes, there are things that are wrong. There were 3 blowout losses, but there were 7 wins in a second bowl game, and I just feel like the program has really lost its way in terms of recognizing the little things, not only the fundamentals on the field, but the joy of winning, and the fact that this is what we're all about here, winning, and don't take it for granted. There were 2 9-win coaches fired. I was right in the middle of that. I promise you, I was there. I saw it. I wrote about it. And look what happened. I've always thought, well, Nebraska should do better, can do better. There's this sort of sense of entitlement, and I was part of it.
I think that's where Penn State might be right now. They are not.
I guess they're going to hire a good coach, but I saw that tonight. But my point is, there should be no entitlement. Nobody should be upset with this. I mean, the fact that you're going to a second bowl game, you got to realize where Nebraska is and where they were. Now, is it happening fast enough? Well, no, it's never fast enough. And Nebraska, it's never enough. If you win 7, you want 8. If you win 8, you want 9. If you win the Big Ten, you want to win the national championship. It's never been good enough. But this isn't the 70s or 80s, man. I covered those teams. I covered the Big 8. There was nobody in the Big 8 that was any good, except Oklahoma and occasionally Oklahoma State or Missouri. I mean, Nebraska didn't have to beat anybody. I mean, now they do. So, I'm not sure people are really upset about the record. Is that the way they played, the things that are happening, the way you're coaching, getting blown out, getting shown up. That's a no-no. And I agree with that. So they've got to figure that out. And the best way to do that is to run the ball and block and tackle. just master those things. And, and it's tough because the Big Ten is, you have to win, you have to play a certain way. And it's just the way in basketball too. You have to play a certain way to win at the Big Ten. When you get out of the Big Ten, that way doesn't always work. Because it becomes about speed and talent. And I don't think the Big Ten is always about speed or talent. It's about, physical line play. Well, I look at the way Iowa plays, and what the hell is wrong with that? They have a good offensive line every single year. They have a defense. They have the best defensive coordinator in the country, and he hasn't left. He's been there forever. And they do it every single year. They send guys to the NFL. Their special teams are great. Where they fall back is overall speed and talent. They don't recruit those kind of guys. So yeah, Nebraska used to be both. They used to be the fundamentals, the guys who would just mash you up front, and they would have, Mike Rozier and Amon Green and Tommy Frazier on top of all that. That's why they were so scary good. But I don't know. I feel like, I should be talking to myself, and in a way I am, but I want Nebraska fans to enjoy winning again. And it's been so long that they're trying to get way ahead of themselves. And I get it. You see Kurt Signetti. I'm tired of that guy. I don't want to hear about him anymore. He's like a Haley's Comet. He's a guy that, again, if you had told if Trev Alberts had tried to hire a 64-year-old guy, journeyman, small college journeyman from James Madison 3 years ago, there would have been a petition to fire Trev Alberts, and that would have happened anywhere in the country. Nobody, all these people that wish they could have had Kurt Signetti, none of them would not have accepted him as their coach. They wouldn't have believed it. They would have said, it's a stupid hire. What are you doing? And then, of course, Indiana won the lottery and didn't even know that they bought a ticket. They weren't trying to do this. They just wanted to hire a good coach. And, they were just trying to hire somebody. They couldn't hire anybody. And so they ended up with this guy. And look what happened. So I don't want to hear about that. But
well, he also, to be fair, it wasn't, I think it's a little bit unfair to call Indiana a year one thing. Yeah, true, year one at Indiana, but that was, probably year three of that group of James Madison players. Or that was right. A lot of James Madison that knew the Signetti system going with him.
And I know Nebraska fans, they would have yelled and screamed at those. What are you bringing all these James Madison guys here for? It's ridiculous. You can't do that here. But Kurt Signetti's a guy with an ego, and he has to have it all his way, and he has to be in total control of everything. And it's a program like Nebraska, you've got boosters and people that are involved, and he doesn't want those people. He wants everybody to stay away, and so he's a good fit in Indiana, where they're worried about the Final Four. They're not worried about the playoff. They're very happy about this, but they have to have the Final Four. They don't have to do the playoff. So the fact that they're getting it, it's just one of those weird kind of things. But anyway, I'm just saying that I think this thing is still on track. It could be going faster. The three blowouts are what we'll remember this season for, and that's fine. Those have to get clean those up. And I would say, well, okay, we're 7-5, and if people are kind of pissed off and they're this and they're that, okay, what game should they have won? I mean, you say this is they underachieved. Well, what game did they lose that they should have won? I mean, nobody picked them to beat USC or Penn State or Iowa. I mean, they didn't. They weren't ready. They were underdogs in those games. So
Minnesota is the only one where people are going to have and I think that's a fair game to point out, though.
And that would have made them 8-4. Is that a much better season? I guess so. I don't know. It's the same bowl game. It's the same. You're either going to Nashville or Vegas. Whether you be, maybe you gone to Tampa. I don't know. But I'm just saying that I guess that one game is the one we can't. And Minnesota had beaten Nebraska a bunch of times in a row, too. So it wasn't like Nebraska was favored. Nebraska had just beat Maryland, and they were feeling it. And, I guess, beating Maryland made them think that they were world beaters. But I think the problem with the Minnesota game was how it went down. And Minnesota's not very good. And they were a hell of a lot better than Nebraska that night. And that was very hard to swallow.
Yeah, I mean, that one hurt me the most because I when I looked at that Minnesota team, I went Penn State. I can tip my cap and say, you know what? You guys have more continuity in your coaching staff, and just talent-wise, you got more dudes than we do. Minnesota's the one where, and again, you got Emmett Johnson. He was Mr. Minnesota, and we just don't really give him a whole lot of opportunities. So that game was just frustrating for a lot of other reasons than Penn State and Iowa. Just seeing how that one played out. But, to your point, say we beat Minnesota, great. You lose to Penn State and Iowa the way we did, I don't know how much really changes. Say we lose to Iowa by a field goal. How much changes? Or are we kind of in the same spot where everyone's still upset about the same old Nebraska? You got to beat Iowa eventually here, and I think that's fair, but there's got to be a little bit of a ramp up to it, because clearly, I mean, just what I'm seeing, that talent-wise, we're still quite a bit further away than I think some of us would like to believe. But then you go look at the recruiting boards, and you see us, out-recruiting Minnesota, not necessarily Penn State or Iowa, but then that's the other part where you kind of wonder where this development is lacking. And to me, the whole answer is just the continuity that other programs have experienced. PJ Fleck even, he's been there for a while now. He's got things established. Iowa certainly, with Ferentz being there for as long as he has been. Like, to me, the easiest answer is just we lack continuity in a very big way, unlike a lot of these other Big Ten schools. Like, even schools that maybe haven't had great success, they will hang on to coaches for a while before they let them go. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But for Nebraska, we've ran into an era where if it doesn't work out sooner than later, see ya. Like, we're just not going to spend time on it outside of Scott Frost, which is probably the one guy that we should have moved on from quicker. So, I don't know what the answer is, but I think it's somewhere in the middle where we got to figure out where that patience is, as we just aren't that Nebraska as much as we want to think we are.
I think the answer is 8-4. Try to get to 8-4 every year, and just build on it, and hope for more. It's just, I mean, the schedules are unbelievable now, and right now they don't need the last thing they need is they didn't need Matt Rule to leave. They needed to give him that extension. That was as much about keeping things intact as it was keeping him. That was, as much as it was a bet on him, it was like, in this day of the portal, man, people, if your coach leaves, you're liable to lose half your roster. And how long that takes to rebuild that. They need Matt Rule to love Nebraska and keep winning and obviously win a little bit more, maybe a lot more one day. But just keep stacking these winning seasons and bowl games and feel good about it. They need to feel, it's important to, I think, in this day and age, you got to like your coach. You got to like who your coach is, and so you can ride with him through the highs and lows. There's going to be some, and I'm looking at the people who were hired yesterday in the SEC. Would Nebraska fans would they have felt good about any of those guys not named Kiffin? I mean, the Penn State is probably going to luck out. I don't know what their plan was, but they're going to hire the BYU coach, I guess. That'll be an interesting fit, real interesting fit in the Big Ten and that state. But is he better than James Franklin? I don't know. I don't think so. He's just different. I mean, he's never won a national title or been in the playoff, so he's a good coach. But I'm just saying, sometimes you need to change. I'm just looking at the guys who got jobs yesterday, and what would Nebraska had if they had an opening? What were they going to do? Who are they going to get? So they don't have an opening. I think everybody should like their guy. I think he's done well. He's trying to do better, but there's so many questions left for next year. Tough schedule, sure. I thought this year was tough. Anybody that said this year was easy, out of their mind. But I think, who's going to be the quarterback? What's Emmett Johnson going to do? There's so many questions right now. If you have a new backfield next year, you're kind of starting over again, and you're probably having to go to the portal and get replacements. So,
but on the bright side, you do got that bowl game, and that's kind of where guys
Yeah.
like Donovan Jones came in emergence, and then you roll into this year feeling like you got a dude. I mean, you got a month of practice. And I got to respond to this one real quick. I get where this comes from. I hear it all the time. I don't know what it is, but off YouTube. I'll go ahead and read it for you. You got the Go Big Red Captain. And he says, so the median rule was telling us Rule's team always won 10 or more games in year 3, and that was the magical year. And now we are supposed to be surprised that Matt only won 7. I'll also say to this is year 3 was better than year 1 and year 2. I don't know where you got the word magical. It's never magical. I mean, you got to go out and earn these things. But I think it is important to stack just winning seasons. It doesn't mean that Matt Rule's going to go out and win a national title. I don't know. But I'll tell you right now, it's a hell of a lot better than most of my life. Like, I'm 26. It was good with Bo Pelini. Really bad for a while there. And no, I'm not singing to the heavens because we got to 7. But it is better than what it was. And you're stacking some things. Does it pan out to national championships? I don't know. But your chances are much better than, and you know, like I said, through a majority of my life, when we just weren't getting there with 3 or 5 wins.
Well, that was part of the reason I thought this was a good year. It was a little bit of a wake-up call for people. I remember when I wrote this for the season, I went back and looked at that third year at Baylor. They won 11 games. Won 5 games where either on a last-second kick or they blocked the last-second kick, and they won 3 games in overtime. That's 5 games that could have gone either way. So he wins 11, and he goes to the NFL. He uses that to go to the NFL. But they didn't win those 5 games. He's probably still at Baylor. I mean, maybe. But so yeah, this whole magical thing was a little bit of smoke and mirrors. What he had at Baylor was a team that knew how to win, and he had a quarterback, and he had a very good kicker, and he parlayed that into a lot of close wins. So I knew going that this third year thing was, and you're in a different league. I mean, their offensive line, the way they've built this thing, I feel like they're still in the Big 12. I mean, they don't have a Big 10 line yet, and they haven't had one in years. So, I mean, it's time. It's way past time to make that the priority. Whether you're running or passing or whatever, get those dudes up front figured out. And it takes time. And so we're in an interesting place. I think it's getting better. It's not on the fast track by any means, but we'll see what this hire is. It's a big hire on defense, and but along with this, they got to get the offensive line figured out. Dom Rail is the guy, and help him, give him better players, and give him an offense that is going to make sense for him. You know, if it's not, then get somebody else. But it's all got to come together. It's got to make sense. So,
well said.
That's it.
Yeah, there's a lot to get through. We skipped the break if you didn't know, because there was a lot to get to. I appreciate you guys chiming in.
Too much.
Yeah, unfortunately, couldn't get to all the comments. That is Tom Shatel, Omaha World Herald. Appreciate him as always. I am Harrison Arns. Like I said, appreciate all you guys chiming in. Sorry we couldn't get to all of the others. A lot of stuff to talk about, but we'll probably get into some more. We got All In coming up next. Just Ridge, Love It, and myself. If you guys want to keep talking Husker football, just follow the 93.7 Ticket streams. You can certainly chat with us some more, along with everything else Husker related. Despite football finishing the way they did, we still got a bowl game. We got Husker volleyball undefeated. They are officially in the bracket. We can break through that as well. And Husker hoops undefeated, both men and women's. Not all bad here in Husker land. Appreciate you guys listening. Don't go anywhere. We'll keep it rolling. Take a weeknights.
This is where it happens. Long hikes with friends, kayaking adventures with family, more horse